And welcome back. I'm Jason Jarvie with Realty ONE Group. Today, we're going to be tackling a project that's going to take a little bit of detail. Nope, not that kind of detail, not the stats that we normally talk about. Today, we're talking about sitting back, throwing our feet up, probably have some holes in the bottom of my socks, and relaxing in a nice, comfortable space. So I'm in the primary bedroom of my house, and this house is designed kind of funny. The bedroom is giant. Really would have loved this space in another area, but unfortunately the area that they would put that would be in the living family room area, and my teenagers have taken that space over. So here I am in the bedroom looking for somewhere to relax. So I've got my comfy chair and my TV and this big blank canvas of a wall. That's right, we're going to be talking about installing a detail wall. So we're going to start by painting it, throwing up some trim, and seeing if we can come up with something fun. In the past, I did a detail wall on the family room with a giant built-in space in my entryway hallway, kind of a mosaic style, and at my rental with a redwood, just vertical, very modern, sleek look. This is a look that I'm going to try to just go very simple with and follow the architecture of these three big windows. Well, they're kind of small, but they're their own point on this wall. So let's get this project rolling. So here's where this project's going to get a little bit more difficult. Definitely not something you would need to do unless this bothered you like it bothers me. My baseboards are these tiny little ones that you see in, I don't know, most houses these days. At least most brown box new construction like this. And the trim that I'm using, this is door casing or window molding, something of that nature. It's just under 3/4 of an inch thick. And when you lay it up on there, there's a big old gap at the bottom. I don't really like that. So my options are, I could shave this down at an angle down here, or I could replace this trim, or I could take this trim off, save it, and make it thicker by adding a backing to it, which is exactly what I did when I used this exact same trim on my entryway detail wall. So now I need to pull this trim off carefully without destroying it. That way I can make it a little bit thicker, then I'll get this wall painted while I have time to build that. Here's the paint reveal. Low fat vanilla yogurt. That's a funny color. Whoa, there it is. Looks pretty dark on here. It's a HGTV Sherwin-Williams peppercorn. Really anything special about getting the paint done here? I probably should have just cut everything in by hand instead of using the tape, but lesson learned, I will just take my time next time and cut it in by hand. There was a bit of bleed out that I had to fix in the end. This is just one coat of two because there were some spots still left after this first coat, but I won't put that second coat on until after I get the trim on the wall. Then while the paint is drying, instead of watching, I'm working on that baseboard, and I'm cutting backer that I'm going to laminate into 3 pieces to get the width that I was looking for, sand the top, paint it, and it's ready to go in. Nothing really special here. I did have to trim the carpet back because the old trim was 1/2 of an inch or so narrower. Okay, so now is as good a time as any to say, hey, hit that like, subscribe button if you want to see more content like this, more fun projects along the way. More real estate stats here in the Phoenix metro area. Do me a favor, hit the button. You know, it really helps. It does help the algorithm. I don't know how or why. It's just what they say on the webs. So, you know, it's one of those things. Let's take a look at some of the tools that I'm using along the process. Ooh, that's a big shadow. And let me show you specifically what I'm using to get my level lines on the wall. Not something you need. You could totally just use a hand level across there, measure and whatnot. I'm using this Bosch level that was on sale on an end cap, laser level. You can see the lines over there. And what I have it mounted to is just a screw-on GoPro mount. And then this pole, this is actually a cabinet holder or riser, drywall expander. And I bought this originally to hang cabinets in a house years ago. You can see it goes, this is a 9-foot ceiling, pretty far. And under normal circumstances, it's in the bed of my truck as a divider back there to keep stuff from sliding around when I go to Home Depot or Lowe's or the grocery store, or throw kids back there with the cover, you know, let them roll around a little bit. But this was just a really simple way to get a ton of vertical change with that mount. You could totally use a camera tripod if you had one that was tall enough. Mine isn't, so rather than buying another one, I'm using this extension pole. I've got one more course along the way here. Now obviously you could do this in any different number of ways. You could do lots of different patterns, whatever your imagination will give you. And I hope that this was just an inspiration to that end so that you could get out and do something fun like this in your house. So with our laser line established, I'm using an 18 gauge brad nailer with 2-inch nails. I marked out the studs when I had the baseboard off so that hopefully I can get close to hitting them. I feel like some of them I'm not hitting, but ultimately what's holding this on the wall is a little bit of liquid nails. And I'm hitting my level line across because, like I said, the ceiling's not level to measure off of, and neither was the floor necessarily. So I'm just keeping it simple, and I'm throwing a little S-curve on the back, and then the brads on the wall. I will be going along and caulking all of the edges, which will also help seal it up against the wall. This isn't under any stress, so I can't imagine why it would move, if ever. I did have to cut some of these corners at a bevel. There was just so much mud buildup that there was no way I could get these in square. And once I have one side right where I want it, just throwing a nail in there to hold it. I am gonna have to sand and level these guys out. So this officially is the home stretch. It was time to sand down all of the nail holes before I filled them. So I sanded and then vacuumed out all the dust. Started by filling all of those in with a first coat, then sand and a second coat before I moved on to caulking every single gap on the wall. And I didn't miss anything at this point. I did from the bottom to the top, left to right. And this took forever. So you can see I'm laying there on my back to get the top side. I get even the spots that people aren't looking, because at the end of the day, I'm looking at it and I want to enjoy that it looks good the way I want it to. Then it was time to cut in all of these edges where I had just caulked with the dark gray paint. Originally, I was gonna paint the entire wall one color, but then along the way, I kind of liked the definition of the white standing out, and I decided to match it to the shutters, which is what I'm doing here. And I'm really happy that I went with this. It looks great to me. The tough part was just getting that roller line nice and level there at the end, but hey, it worked out and it looks great. So what do you think? Do you like the white detail over top, or do you think they should have all been the same color? I went back and forth on this decision because previous walls that I've done all monochromatic, where everything is the same color, bottom to top, all the way around, all the trim, all the accoutrements. But for this one, I felt like having it pop a little bit more would draw attention to this space, which is really just a big void over here in the corner, but it definitely does the job of accenting. A few things that I learned though, when I was putting this final finish on here, the roller that I used had a nap to it. I should have used a foam roller. It would have gotten it a much cleaner line. There's just barely some roll over there from the nap. That would have changed it. That's really just a perfectionist thing. If you want a nice clean line, any nap is, well, really tight, fine nap is okay, but it will be less consistent than if you used a foam roller. Painting the wall before putting the trim on, definitely helpful, because my second coat was just to fill in all the little voids. When you paint a dark color, you're gonna wind up with that. Overall though, I'm pretty happy. I think my wife will be happy. This is gonna be a surprise for her when she gets back from a little girls trip. And I hope that you enjoyed the video, you got something out of it, maybe you can do your own project here in the future. Like, subscribe, comment, watch one of the other videos. Thanks for watching.